A young boy with autism's feel-good story just so happens to be a young girl's nightmare. A 14-year-old kid out of Colorado's Valentine's Day rejection got turned into a national news story, thereby making the girl who rejected him some kind of a villain. We're going to go ahead and dive into this fiasco that was created by a scornful mother and the mainstream media here on The Breakdown.
Hey, this is Greg Hoyt from The Breakdown. If you're new here and checking out the channel on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitter at GregHoytLET. Anyway, let's get on to the video.
So a 14-year-old boy from Colorado Springs this past Valentine's Day decided to approach, I guess what would be his crush at school, making a big spectacle out of thing, presenting her with like a large card and asking her to be his Valentine in front of the school, or at least in front of other students, ostensibly like in the cafeteria or something to that effect. And by all accounts that I've seen, based upon mainstream media reporting and what have you, apparently the girl in question politely rejected his advance. Now keep in mind, this boy, having autism or not, he did put the girl on the spot in front of a bunch of people, but she was still able to apparently politely decline and leave it at that. But as the story goes, this 14-year-old boy named Roman went to his mom after school and kind of said that he was heartbroken and crushed because he approached the girl of his dreams, or at least the girl that he liked, and he was shot down. So what does the mother of this 14-year-old autist do? She decides to go to a Facebook group in a since deleted post and basically complain about how her son was shot down because he expressed his feelings in a grandiose manner to a girl that he liked, and she didn't want to be his Valentine. Heather Starr wrote on Facebook, "You guys, my oldest baby is 14. He has autism, is very shy and socially awkward. Yesterday he made a poster for a girl at school and asked her to be his Valentine at lunch in front of everyone. She said no." Now, while the Facebook post in itself isn't extremely terrible in any sense, it does infer like a sense of entitlement for the girl's child. A post really meant to tug at the heartstrings and fish for sympathy for her autistic son, which she did point out because she didn't need to in the post, but she pointed out in the post that her son is autistic and trying to get people to feel sympathetic because he expressed a certain set of emotions for a young girl at a school, and he was rejected. But again, also completely disregarding the fact that he made a spectacle of the matter and, put this young girl on the spot where, he was kind of, playing with fire. And, when you put people on the spot where they're forced to render an answer, sometimes you're going to get a blunt response. And when it comes to matters of the heart, whether old or young, not everybody is going to see eye to eye with you. Not everybody is going to share the same feelings that one may harbor. It's just called life, and nobody has to reciprocate feelings that one individual may desire from another. And the folks over at NBC News Today heard the message loud and clear after stumbling upon this Facebook post by Mother, and they were able to create and craft this feel-good story after getting an update on the matter, because the day after the 14-year-old autistic boy was rejected by the gal, he was apparently showered by fellow students and peers, female ones at that created Valentine's Day cards and posters, just love bombing the hell out of this kid. Under NBC Today's outlet moniker, a story originally published on February 15th started out with the following sentence: "With bullying on the rise, one mom is sharing a heartwarming story involving her neurodivergent teenager." Oh, there is certainly something to be said about bullying regarding the story, but it has nothing to do with this 14-year-old boy Roman, and everything to do with the young girl who was basically made to be the villain out of this whole fiasco. Today shared an image of one of the large posters Roman had received from his classmates, with some of the comments on the poster reading, "She should have said yes, 'cause the poster was cute. You can do better than her. I'm sorry for what happened. and you were very sweet and brave. Don't give up." Furthermore, Today added to this victim narrative, claiming in the original article the 8th grader was inundated with Valentines from female classmates wanting to make things right. Now, there's a reason why I mentioned original article, because Today had originally published that article on February 15th, but then they decided to switch things up once they learned that they were sending out a terrible message and were getting some pushback. Today has since updated the article and retitled it from the original headline of "Teen was publicly rejected on Valentine's Day at school. Classmates came to the rescue," to "Classmates rally around very sad teenage boy after Valentine's Day at school." There is so much wrong with this story being presented by Today, and as well as it being kind of consumed as a feel-good story, because the entire narrative being presented by the mainstream media outlet, as well as the actions of this autistic boy's peers, it just sends the wrong message and condones improper behavior and improper digestion of societal and social interactions. Namely, that being that this 14-year-old boy was somehow mistreated by the girl, thereby inferring that the girl did something wrong because she did not share the young man's, romantic aspirations. And some of the comments seen on Today's original Facebook post regarding the story, it confirms that a lot of the readers did digest the narrative being presented, that this boy was, some kind of hero in the making who was wronged by a girl. The young lady has a right to say no. But on that note, way to go to the kids who stepped up and saved the day for this young man. You guys are all rock stars in my eyes. And a major shame on you to the school administration for punishing the kids for cheering loudly in happiness. Now, the issue with that particular comment, even though they kind of prefaced it with it's okay for the girl to say no, but then that person follows it up with, these other kids saved the day. There was nothing to save the child from. He put a young girl on the spot. Autism be damned. He put a young girl on the spot, and, despite her being put on the spot and being under pressure, she spoke what she felt. Absolutely awesome. There are good and kind kids in the world. Your son absolutely deserved the kindness he received. Congrats to all those parents raising kids right, to do the right thing, even when it isn't the popular thing. Hope for a better tomorrow. Thanks to Roman's family for sharing, and for all the kids and their families for continually making the right choice. So take a look at that comment right there. You see a constant reiteration of doing the right thing, the right choice, thereby asserting that apparently the right choice for this young high school girl would be to, I guess, accommodate the feelings of this autistic boy and be his Valentine, whether it's against her wishes. That is a terrible precedent to set. And here we go again with that nonsense. That's beautiful. I'm so glad others were raised right and made him feel so much better. Such a brave young man. I have an autistic daughter, and her crush didn't like her, and it broke her heart. I hate to be the one to break to these folks. Whether they have a child with autism, they're on the spectrum, or they have some other kind of developmental disability. There is nothing owed to your child when it pertains to the adorations and affections of their peers and pretty much anybody else in their vicinity. Honest to God, this is one of the most irritating traits that I find in some parents of individuals who harbor, any disability or mental deficiency or anything like that. They feel as though, like they want to profess that their child is just like any other child, and so on and so forth. And they shower them with accolades when they do ostensibly regular things. But then when they endure what would be considered a regular experience, something like simple rejection, when they express feelings for another individual and the other individual doesn't harbor the same feelings, all of a sudden, it becomes a different ballpark. I'm terrified for my kids to get to this age, but I hope if they're ever in his shoes or even witness this, they would handle it like this. Such a sweet story. So this person is digesting the story that they hope in the event that their child ever expresses a romantic interest in another person, and the opposite person doesn't harbor those romantic interests and politely rejects them, they hope that the individual who rejected them kind of gets downgraded and shamed because, again, you can see that in the comments on the poster board the kid received. In order for this kid to be the hero of the story, or someone who endured something bad or unpleasant, you need to craft a villain out of somebody. And the villain was clearly, based upon the tone of the original story and the comments and interaction with some of these people who thought this was a feel-good moment and a feel-good story, the villain was the young girl who was put on the spot and was demanded to render an answer out of nowhere in regard to this young autistic boy's unwanted advances. Here's the thing. If you're going to shoot your shot, go ahead and do it. There are more appropriate ways to do it. It's probably best not to surprisingly, without any notification, roll up on somebody and hit them with a big old Valentine's Day card in front of the cafeteria and be like, hey, will you be my Valentine? You can't get mad. You can't get mad at anybody if the person in question that gets surprised just drops a flat no. That conduct, that nonsense, it's the human experience. You live and you learn. But you don't, go ahead and try to reward the person who pulled that stunt and got rejected. Because there's nothing to reward the individual over. Sure, you can privately console them and say, hey, man, better luck next time. At least you tried. Those are good words of affirmation. But crap like saying, she should have said yes, or, you can find better. No, that's complete nonsense. That, by extension, downgrades the other party involved who was surprised with that crap. But then again, it's hard to completely lay blame to these commenters, because Today basically spelled it out in the original title of the article by framing the gesture from his peers as coming to his rescue. For one, this kid didn't need to be rescued. He made a public spectacle on an unsuspecting party with regard to his romantic aspirations, and he was politely shot down. And again, the subsequent article from Today, in conjunction with the actions taken by this young boy's peers in an effort to ostensibly, gain virtue signal points, that sends a terrible, terrible message. That message being that somehow the young girl did something wrong, but she should have done the right thing, which based upon the context would have been placating the young boy's emotions simply because he's autistic? Sorry, a medical diagnosis is not a free pass that affords somebody a guarantee that they are going to have their feelings reciprocated, especially in the realm of physical, emotional, and romantic endeavors. Just doesn't work like that. But what's even worse is now this 14-year-old autistic boy has seen that as a result of enduring a completely normal and reasonable rejection, he was getting love-bombed by his peers. Again, with messages like the girl should have said yes, and he can do better. Thus, potentially teaching this young man that he was somehow originally entitled to the young girl's affections when he approached her Johnny on the spot. And speaking of the young girl, what does this teach her? Well, I can tell you it probably didn't feel very good from this young girl's perspective to see this young autistic boy paraded around as a victim, not only at her school, but on the national mainstream media, solely because he approached her and she rejected his romantic advances. The young girl could very well take away from this entire experience that saying no to a boy or man's sexual advances will result in her being publicly shamed, not only in school, not only online, but on the mainstream media. This entire debacle is like an exhibition of complete irresponsibility on behalf of the boy's mother, on behalf of his peers who were probably just trying to do the virtue signal game, as well as the mainstream media for basically vilifying a young girl. Rejection is a part of life, and it's a teachable moment for kids. Parents should be teaching their children to be resilient in the face of rejection, instead of trying to convey that they were wronged in the process of a rejection and are thereby owed something. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much the long and short of it. I know it's a little bit of a nuanced and complex topic, so I'm really curious to hear your take. whether you think I'm just completely off the rails on this, or whether you think, I hit the nail on the head. Whatever your thoughts, drop them in the comments section. Anyways, guys, that was the breakdown. Peace.